Hey guys, this is Dartimos from Dartimos Dominion. Welcome to FeatherFall. This is a Disciples game in EA. I'm playing as Yomi and my partner is playing as Niflheim. My partner and I have played a game before where we had just won. We were looking at starting up a new one, so this was the one that we were looking into when we kind of realized the other game was over. Um, my partner and I originally met in my first game. I've played about 8 games now, probably more than that. I don't know. And so I'm still a relatively new player, but he's very knowledgeable. And one of the things that he's knowledgeable is at super combatants and thugs. And when I met him, he was an EA Niflheim player, and I was playing as EA Aramor. And like most human nations, I was having trouble with the giants, and I was having trouble with the super combatants, and I couldn't figure out how to beat them. And luckily, I was able to be a big enough pain in the neck that he decided to go kill somebody else. Um, but I never was really able to come up with a solution on how to kill him. And so I told him, hey, we need to do a disciples match. We did the other one where we were MA Alm and MA Scalaria. And so I didn't get to learn thugs in chassis. I mean, we did put together some very strange thugs in that one, but I wouldn't suggest a Scalaria or a MA Alm thug. So one of my goals in this was to learn how to play with super combatants and thugs, and I'm hoping because he's able to teach me and I've learned a whole lot that I'm able to come around and say, hey, as a new player learning how to play super combatants and thugs, here's what I've learned. And so that you can learn from my mistakes and you can learn from my accidental successes and what I've learned from him. Now, I did want to do a national overview that was a standard overview. And I think I put together 2 or 3 of them, and I just realized it just didn't work. Because Yomi doesn't act like a standard nation. EA Yomi has free spawn that are very important. And not only does it have free spawn, it has like 6 different kinds of free spawn. You can see like here you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of free spawn. Or I'm sorry, 4 different types of free spawn. But there are actually 2 others that are not on this screen. And they come in what I normally call 4 different variants. The first kind is the little guys that spawn everywhere. You get tons of them. They fit a ton to a square. The second kind are a little bit bigger. They deal a little bit more damage. The third kind are a little bit bigger and they deal a little bit more damage. And then the last kind are just sacred and they're awesome. I have like 2 or 3 of them. They don't last very long because you do like to use them a lot and they do have a purpose and they normally save your Dione from dying. So we'll see a couple of those, but they're pretty rare and not worth really talking about. You do want to clump these guys together, so like a better idea would for me to have like those guys together so that they stay at the same speed, and when they're walking forward, they like march forward together. In contrast to if they were like these guys are going to be these 3 guys, these 3 size 2 will go faster or slower than these size 3 guys. I think these size 3. Oh, I take it back. These guys are really slow too. I probably need to change that myself. So I might start keeping these guys together and try to keep the same speed together so they don't get out of they stick together. Now the downside of these guys, even though they're free spawn, they have terrible morale and they do hit hard. They have terrible morale and they're forced to be in skirmish formation, which makes them so they don't one of their advantages is that they can fit 6 to a square, but if they're in skirmish formation, they're all spread out. So they do have their disadvantages and they do have their advantages. Now, you won't see these on the troop screen. If I pulled up the national overview, you wouldn't see these guys. And they're so important to your builds. And they're so important. These are my raiding parties. If you see, I have a group going here and a group here. The guys going to these 2 spaces, they're raiding, are using the demons, the little demons. Now, that's not to say that you don't use all of your basic units. The basic units that you can recruit are these 5 units here. And they're stealthy. Some of them are good at pillaging. And this chassis on any other nation would be so useful. but you got free spawn, and they don't have shields, and so when you use these guys with their short bows, they end up killing your own troops. That's not to say they're completely useless, and you could raid with them, and it can be successful, but I feel like there's better places to put your money towards than these guys. So those are your basic units. Now let's talk about your real quick. These are the commanders you'll use with those raiders because they both are stealthy. Every other guy is not stealthy, so you want to keep these guys with these guys. And the worst part about these guys is that they don't have undead leadership, so they can't carry around your demons. So you can't use these guys to cart around guys either. So they're very, very not useful. Yenji. So sorry, my son's waking up. You'll hear it in the next video too. My son's I do this while it's nighttime, so yeah, they wake up. So real quick, sorry, to get back to what we were talking about. The next thing I want to talk about is the researchers and the research items. Now, if I go to a province that is a mountain province, I can recruit a Naminari. Now, my unrest is really high, and we'll go into that later about how I learned about unrest and how I learned to both love and hate it. As you can see it right now, I kind of hate it. But I can get these Naminari, and all I need is a lab. I don't need a fort, which is good because the forts can only be built to level 1 anyways. So you're not getting an extra recruitment point. But these guys, in every one of your highlands and mountain provinces, you just put down a lab, and for 500 gold, you get access to an every other turn mage. And to be able to get a second recruitment point normally costs you, I want to say 1,300 gold for 2 recruitment points compared to 500 gold for 1 recruitment point. Because you're looking at a lab, a fort, and then the fort, the improvement to the fort. So it normally costs you about 1,300 gold, which is divided by 2 is 650 gold per recruitment point. Where Yomi, it only costs you 500 gold for the lab, so it's 500 gold for the recruitment point. These mages are highly efficient, but they're slow to pump out. So they're gold efficient, but you're not going to get a ton of them unless you have a ton of highlands and or mountain provinces. You can also build these guys in your forts. So there are ways that if you don't have those types of provinces, you can still get these guys. More importantly, for this, I can't talk about your research monkeys without talking about how you're able to easily craft every single type of research item in the game. Now, I'm going to start off by saying these are not the only guys that can craft your research item. What's awesome about these sorcerers, and I'm going to a fort with a lab, the temple is not necessary. I have it here because I want my diet to make my own Ishugo. But the sorcerers are amazing in that they can craft every single type of research item in the game. Now you need to get all 3 randoms, and these, like I said, like you've got the ability to craft these items on other chassis. But for 115 gold, to be able to just, make 115 gold, and if you have construction 6, know that guy that's coming out is going to make a research item, it's pretty powerful. The fire guys can make lightless lanterns, which is construction 6. Air guys can make quills, which are construction 2. These are probably going to be your most important ones, and this is why early on I tried to spam these guys as fast as I could. You'll see that. And I get really lucky. I actually get an air random, which is very rare because air hates me. And then the death 2, he starts with death 1, and you get death 2, and he can make skull mentors. The only thing he can't make is an imp familiar, which if you see, I thought I have one of these. I have one here. Oh no, I don't. Oh yeah, there he is. They can't make these imp familiars because they cost blood. And they're pretty crappy research. But if you see, like, these lightless lanterns are 12 research each. That's more than my Naminari. My Naminari, this guy does 24 research, up from 9. I got some other researchers down here. This guy, he normally has 9 research as well. He's up to 30. Using an owl quill, which gives you 6, and a skull mentor, which gives you 14. And this guy can craft the skull mentors. This guy over here can craft the this guy can craft my feathers. So you've got these amazing research chassis, and you've got a mage that can pump out research items. Now, why does it still say, and I could bring it, let me bring it up real quick, because I will show you what it says here. It says bad at research. Why does it say bad at research? Well, it's because your Dione here are terrible researchers. They, 9 research. They research just as much as your Nominari. It's just that they cost 8 times more. These guys are what you'll be spamming out of your capital. And they're slow to recruit, and you cannot waste a capital turn. Every single turn at your capital, you need to be making these Dione. So until you get your first lab and first castle up, you will be sitting at near 0 research. Now, there's ways to get around that, and you'll see that we are not at 0 research. And that's one thing I think that a Yomi player needs to know, is how to get around that bad at research. I don't agree with that. I think that Yomi is very strong at research. Saying that, you do need to make sure that you aim for mountain provinces, and we'll go into that. Like I said, I'm going to be using this series as I'm going to be learning as I go along, and I'll show you what I learned as I went along and how I was able to transition into this strong researching empire. And with that, the one problem that you have is that this research items require a ton of gems, a lot of gems. Knowing that, your gems cannot go towards research items because you are a super combatant centric nation. So you need gems to make items for your super combatants. You need gems for your chaff. I think I showed you I think I didn't show you, in fact. And why don't I hit that real quick? Another one of your chaff units are these Shikomi. And you will be spamming these guys. And this is another place where you spend. And you can get Daitengu, which are, you spend your air gems towards Daitengu, and your death, which air owl quills are air, Daitengu are air. These are death gems, and your skull mentors are death gems. Your fire gems, you just use those for lanterns, but you don't get lanterns until construction 6. So your units that you'll want to be using will be vying for those same gems. Not only that, but your gems will also be used to be to be kitting out your Dione. Now, your Dione are going to be using your 2 slots usually are earth gem related. Your chest plate will normally be earth related. Your helmet can be either earth related or nature. We use nature, but earth is also. And your feet will be, we use water, but normally you wouldn't. You could use nature's also another one that you normally use. So if you're starting to get the idea, earth, nature, earth, nature. And look at this guy. He can craft his own gear except for nature. Which, if you remember, our little research monkeys have nature. So we're set. We can craft our own gear, which is great. And what's better yet is Earth doesn't make research items, and nature doesn't use research items. So that's one advantage that we get up. And you also heard, like, we do go into water quite a bit. And water isn't used for research. So if you start seeing, we start looking at our gems and saying what gem's going to go towards what. And we say air is going to go towards research. Fire is going to go towards research. Death, we're going to try to put it as much as we can towards research, but we'd also like it towards the summons. And we look at all our gems, and you're going to be seeing that in this game you use your gems. If you're a person who ends up with like 60 gems at the end of, or hundreds of gems at the end of your game, and you're just like, I don't know what to use these gems for, try an EA Yomi game. It'll teach you how to use gems. It's a great nation for gem usage. And not only that, but if you look, these guys are awesome at searching for gem sites. They can search fire up to 2, earth up to 2, and death up to 3, and that's not even counting their random. Now, really quick, I don't want to go into the Dione and the scripting because the scripting is kind of dependent on research, and research is kind of dependent on where you are in the game. So I'm not going to talk too much about research, except to give you an idea that fire is a very strong late game super combatant path. Earth is pretty much, if you want your super combatants to survive, you need Earth. Air is also a really good one that helps you with survival, but we don't have air unless you random into it, and air hates me. So don't expect to see a lot of air out of me. They hate me so much. Death also helps you with killing and with survival. Late game you'll have soul vortex. Early game you'll have skeletal body. And then fire also helps you with you can do fire shield, so it helps you kill a lot of chaff. So give you an idea, like these three paths are very good with keeping him killy and keeping him alive. Now, the thing that keeps your super combatants and your thugs from being murderized is that, okay, so we take our let me take one of my thugs real quick, or my super combatants. So my super combatant looks like super combatant looks like this, and they look at this and they say, wow, if we go in there, we need to be able to kill this guy. Now, we've got a bunch of different options. We have damage, elemental damage, magic resist, or I think those are the and there's one more that it's damage, but the key to killing these guys is that they're demons. And that's just there's an item that kills demons because it deals lots of damage. So how are you gonna deal that damage? Just mundane damage, or like you can do it through mundane damage or through some sort of elemental, fire, cold, poison, or are you going to do it through like a magic resist roll, like a soul slay? And those are your different options, and those are the bases that you have to cover, and you can't cover them all, but you can cover a lot of them. And these guys just base have a minor shield against fire, so if you want to kill them with fire, you're going to have to hit them very hard with fire. They have very good protection. Now this guy is pumped up, but if you see, like I put on this armor of knights and this magic helm, and I mean his protection is through the roof. In his defense skill, that's another way that you can kind of protect against mundane damage, and that's through the roof. And he's also poison resistant. Now, this poison resistance and this fire are part of his base kit. Now, this guy, if I was going to say something, I'd probably either want to kill him through his magic resist is really low. 18 is not that good. And we do cover that in another way, and we'll go over that in the next episode. But he's also vulnerable to shock. So the moment I go and attack with this, they're going to look at him and say, how can I kill this? And they're going to say, fire? Nope. Poison? Nope. Cold? Maybe. Shock? Maybe. Damage? Probably not. Now, there are exceptions on how you can deal enough damage, but that's how you're going to be looking at these super combatants. And so we want to cover those bases. And right off the bat, we've got this fire and this poison. Now, you can make items that will cover those other bases. You can cast spells, and there's other things that we'll go over as we go along. But just know that this Dione, one of the reasons why they're very good is that they naturally, and I want to look at this because that guy's actually, he's got fear. They naturally have fire resistance and poison resistance built into their kit. They have also got fear, which also helps, but we'll go into that also later. And this also helps with their survivability. So right off the bat, this is a very solid super combatant chassis. And that's kind of what separates giant nations from human nations. Human nations don't have these resists. They don't have giant hit point pools. They don't, they do have protection and defense high sometimes, but not high enough that it will protect them from a lucky hit. Or they don't have a hit point pool to protect themselves from a lucky hit. So, and they normally don't have the paths in order to survive a lucky hit as well. So that is what separates the humans from the giants. And that's why I was so interested in learning, even though I don't like the all your eggs in one basket style of super combatants and thugs. I'm starting to learn to like it a little bit. But yeah, it is very interesting. Just as a side note, Demon Priest costs less than Standard Priest. Standard Priest cost, I want to say, oh, I think I lost that. Okay, Standard Priest costs 60 gold, and a Demon Priest costs 50 gold, and they can also random into a little bit of magic. So, that's the last thing that I think that we haven't covered. Um, Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any great strategies for these guys down here. Cause I'll be honest, I use them. I use them successfully to some extent, but I don't feel like I did a good job with them. I feel like I could have done better with them. I know that you could go fire arrows if you get the right Dione, but even then, it's your troops don't have shields. So they kind of get peppered with the arrows themselves. Let me know what you guys think. The other thing is, and I know that you haven't seen the other nations. We picked Niflheim first. So what are some other good combinations that could have gone with Niflheim? What do you think would have been some other good Niflheim combinations? And let me know what you guys think about what are some natural counters to Yomi. How powerful do you think Yomi is? Because like I said, I'm a new player and I'm learning, and I mean it's even the most advanced players will tell you that once you play a nation, you come back the second time stronger and more knowledgeable. You could play this game for years and still learn a lot more on how to most optimally use this how best optimally to use these nations. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next episode where we will go over the pretender design. Have a good one.